Okay, welcome back to another Between the Pages book chat. And today our guest is fantasy author Bruno Martins Soares.
Well done.
Yeah. Okay, that's as close as I can get with the name. And we're here to discuss his book Laura and the Shadow King, which sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to turn it over to
Good.
him so he can introduce himself properly. So take it away.
Okay. Thank you, Anita. My name is Bruno Martins Soares. I'm a Portuguese author. I write sci-fi and fantasy, basically. I've been writing for many years, but only recently have I started publishing internationally and writing in English and coming out to the whole world. I'm sorry about my accent. I haven't practiced spoken English for a long time. I promise you, my written English is much better. And I'm here to talk about Laura and the Shadow King. War of the Shadow King is a two-part miniseries. The first volume is already out. And the second volume will come at the end of this year, basically. It's the story of it's a post-apocalyptic story, basically. It happens in a world where two pandemics just devastated the world. This was written before COVID-19, so it's not really influenced by the experience we all had this past year. Actually, I usually joke that if I had written it after the pandemic, I probably make something about toilet paper. But Laura and the Shadow King is a novel about this little girl called Laura. She's 6 years old, and she's traveling with her mother. They're fleeing from their captors, which are the Russian army, which has invaded Europe. And they're coming through the southern Spain and southern Portugal, and they will find Western civilization, which is devastated but still has pockets of civilization. And she'll find J.J. Berger and the Shadow Team. Shadow Team is a special ops team that works trying to reinstate civilization, a civilized world on the wild, devastated world. And they will cross paths with Laura. And the thing is, Laura is a very special girl. That she has certain supernatural powers, which I won't get into, that could change everything for everybody. And that's basically it.
Like I said, it sounds fascinating. So, what were your inspirations or reasons for writing the book?
Well, I've been writing militaristic sci-fi for a long time. Several of my books have that scenario with military. The Dark Sea War Chronicles, which is the book before this one, is something like World War II's Battle of the Atlantic, but in space, in another solar system. And then the saga of Alex 9 is about a future commando that gets lost in space and strands in a second Earth where everybody's in the Middle Ages, basically. And now I wanted to write something a little bit more realistic in terms of military, a little bit more like real military, basically. And it interests me, the idea of having I usually only feel the novels and the books I'm writing when I understand the message and the theme that I'm working on. And if the Dark Sea War Chronicles was a trilogy about sacrifice and resilience and pain, Laura and the Shadow King is about hope. and Laura represents hope in this, in a desolate world, in a world where in this past year we have seen just a little bit of it, how strange and painful it can be. Even when everything seems desperate, you can find hope, and hope can transform the world. Actually, there's a character in the book that says that hope is the center of the world. If you control hope, you control the world, and that's what the bad guys are trying to do. And so they're trying to get Laura and control Laura, and we'll have JJ Berger and the Shadow Team just going against them.
Yeah, it sounds like it has a good message in it. So, tell us a little bit about the main characters. What are they like?
Well, there are a few. Laura is just a 6-year-old girl, and she's a tough little girl, but still vulnerable, still fragile, still crying when things go wrong. And she's being helped by her mother, who's Maria, and Maria is a powerful woman. She doesn't really have any physical strength or training or anything like that. She's just a mother who will protect her child, and she's bold and audacious, and even in parts of the story where she's really vulnerable, she comes out as a strong woman, a strong mother. On the other side, you have JJ Berger and the Shadow Team. JJ is an interesting character in my view, because he really doesn't like violence very much. He's very good at it, but he doesn't like violence very much. He likes to negotiate, to talk to people. His mother is Portuguese, so he speaks Portuguese and Spanish, and he talks with the people around him, and he has a very, very diverse little team, with a Portuguese guy, an Italian guy, a few Americans, and Paige Rexler, which is an English woman who is very funny. I love writing her because she's just has a very strange sense of humor. When she makes a joke, you don't know if you laugh or just stare. and I like putting that quirky feeling in Paige Drexler, and she becomes number 2 and the love interest of the story, basically.
Oh, well, that's interesting. So, tell us a little bit about the antagonist, without spoilers, of course. I mean,
okay, it's difficult not to spoil very much, because at the outset you don't really know who they are, but you start understanding who they are. When you have the pandemics, the first one just kills a lot of people, just kills about 38% of the world's population. And then you have a second one, which is a variant that turns people into psychotic animals. It's a little bit between a chimpanzee and a zombie, something like that. But that's part of the scenery. That's not actually they are not actually the bad guys. They're just simply an obstacle you have to work through. The bad guys are the Russians. The Russians basically were isolated for a long time, and then somebody somehow created an army, a division that went through Europe without any resistance, because there weren't any organized society anymore. And finally, there's a battalion that goes through Spain and Portugal, and that battalion is headed by 2 guys, which is Colonel Dmitry and his lieutenant Alexei. And Dmitry is a very sick, cruel guy. He just was released by the chaos. He just feels liberated by not having to adhere to any norms. And Alex is just an enabler, basically. Dmitri is one of the cruelest and most sadistic villains I ever wrote. I try to give some human characteristics to my characters, even the ones I don't like. And you can understand Dmitri. You can understand he's sick, and you can understand his crazy psyche, but he's really, really nasty. And then you have one or two other characters. You have Bartosz, which is a Polish special operative who's just good at what he does, and he just wants to complete his mission. And you have Goran, which is the Serb, who's also just following orders. And they're more or less normal people, but they're at the orders of this guy. Dmitri just wants to use Laura to become a powerful man. And that's basically it. I usually write very gritty narratives. Some of the parts are a little bit violent. That's not my core, though. My core is the relationships between people, the way people treat each other. And even though you have some nasty people who will treat the others badly, you have a lot more who will be good to each other, and that's what I try to write about.
Sounds like you have a good balance in the book.
Oh, thank you.
So, what was the hardest scene or type of scene for you to write in the book?
I can tell you. It's the end of first volume is very difficult.
Okay. So yeah, the end was difficult. Okay, I get that. We don't want spoilers, so we'll go right on to the next one. What was your favorite scene to write?
My favorite scene. Interesting. Maybe also the end of the first book. Maybe also that scene, which is very difficult to write.
You were just glad it was over?
No, it was difficult, but it was challenging, but I wanted to get it right. And I was happy with myself when I finished it. I have a few others I like. There's one scene where the Shadow Team, which is basically the presentation of their efficacy, the way they work together, which is when they storm a building full of zombies, and it's a very tense and very powerful scene in my view. And I like writing it. I like writing it very much. But the ones I like the most are those at the end. I really, really try to invest a lot in the ends of my books. I think people, the ends of the books are the one things people hold on to. After some time, that's the thing, that's the image, that's the emotion that will stay with people. And so I try to invest a lot. Not everybody likes the ends of my books, but I don't think anybody can say they're sloppy.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure you have to like the end of the book. I just recently read a book where the ending was just terrible as far as the story goes, but it was a wonderfully written ending.
Yes.
Anyway,
some of the best books I ever read are like that. Kazuo Ishiguro's Remains of the Day. It's a lousy ending, but it's so good as well, isn't it? Yeah. And I don't know, some of Hemingway's novels. You at the end you just want to strangle the guy, but it's so good. And I think that's how it is.
Yeah. So, what are your characters afraid of?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Let me think about it. Well, Maria and Laura are just trying to survive. They're afraid of the Russians, basically. Actually, the entrance of the book, when Maria decides to run away, Maria and Laura were part of the community controlled by the Russians, and when she decided to run away was when she saw Dmitri look in a dirty way towards Laura. So she's actually afraid for her daughter. Okay. Not only for her physical safety, but also for her moral corruption, if you want. She's just trying to save her. JJ is a little bit of on the other side. JJ is a little bit of a very cynical guy. He's not very conscious of what he's afraid of. He just accepts what's coming until a point, which comes a lot later, when he also is very afraid for Laura, and he develops a relationship with Laura where she becomes also the center of his world, and suddenly he's afraid for her as well. And I think those main characters are they're afraid of this, basically.
Okay, so you obviously write sci-fi, a little fantasy, and I believe you've written some literary fiction as well. So are there any genres that you haven't written in that you'd like to try?
Well, good question. Yes, actually there is. I would I have several novels in my head. I usually do. I only write one at a time, sometimes two if things go that way, but usually just write one at a time. But I have about 8, 9, 10 in my head developing over the years. And I have a series in my head of historical fiction. You know, in the line of Bernard Cornwell or Simon Scarrow or Raging Goldsmith or Alexander Kent or something like that, about a Portuguese knight in the 12th century when Portugal is gaining independence and becoming a country, and the Moors from the North Africa. Maghreb region are still dominating most of the southern Portugal and Spain, and I wanted to do something like Philip Marlowe, Mike Hammer like knight who with this noir touch, but who's just going one way and the other in the middle of all the confusion. He'll have a sidekick, which is a 13-year-old boy who I think my idea is that he won't speak because the Vikings would have cut off his tongue basically, and he'll have a horse named Rafeiro, which means mud, and a dog and a cat.
Oh, that sounds fascinating. Anyway, so I think we'll wrap it up here, and I'll let you tell everyone where they can find you and where they can find your books.
Sure, you can find my books at Amazon, but if you go to brunomartinsoares.com, which is my name, .com, you'll find all the information you need about my books, where to find them, the information synopsis of every book. You can subscribe to my newsletter, which is the BMS Vault, which has original content with new short stories and backgrounds to the books and everything. And you'll find also the connections to my Facebook page and my Instagram page and Goodreads page. And I think that the best way is go to brunomartinsoares.com.
Okay, and I'd like to thank you for being here. It was a pleasure chatting with
Thank you,
you.
Anita. It was
Your
a
book
pleasure.
sounds wonderful, and I do
Thank
have
you.
the book linked in the description. So if you want to check it out, please do.
Thank you.
And that's it for this interview. And we'll be back next weekend with 2 more authors. So join us then. Bye for now.